When we look at our immediate surroundings or the world around us, at first glance it seems pretty easy to distinguish what's natural and what's technological. The plant next to me is a natural object. The building around me, the cars on the street, the roads are all technological objects. But when we start to reflect on it, that distinction between natural and technological becomes really blurred. And we start to see pretty quickly that most of the things that we think about as natural, for example, the plant, the lunch we're going to eat later, even to a large extent my body, are in fact mediated or run through with technology. It's easy to take my body as a good example of that. We could think of the body as a natural object. On the other hand, I'm wearing glasses, I'm wearing clothes, I was vaccinated, which changed my immune system. I've taken antihistamines this morning so I can speak to you without sneezing uncontrollably. My body, as I'm feeling it, as I'm experiencing it, and as you guys are seeing it, is a technological object. It is completely run through with technology. Technology mediates and permeates nearly every aspect of our lives. From the moment that we come into this world to the moment that we go out of this world, and really most of the time in between, we are through and through technological beings. So, questions concerning the ethics of technology, questions concerning how technology impacts and relates to social and political structures are not peripheral questions. When we think about how our relationship to technology and our use of technology is threatening the very existence not only of many of the ecologies around us, but of the human species itself, as seems to be the case with man-made climate change. I think that synthetic biology opens up possibilities for really deepening that mediation and permeation of technology, in this case biotechnology, into our lives. Synthetic biology is about understanding, taking apart and putting back together again, like you would the engine of a car, really the most fundamental and basic building blocks of living systems, these basic processes of living systems. And reflecting on and experimenting with how we can use these building blocks, how we can use these basic processes, how we can intervene in them and change them so that they do things for us, so that they produce things that we find useful. For example, vaccines or other forms of drug delivery systems, new types of food, or chemicals that can be used in industrial processes. I don't think it's correct to say that synthetic biology is a revolution in terms of our relation to nature. Indeed, more or less since the dawn of agriculture, human beings have been trying to find ways to breed animals or to breed plants to make them do the things that we want them to do better. But I do think that what makes synthetic biology different, what makes synthetic biology special, is the possibility of intervening further, deeper than we ever have before. And I also think that that does raise very significant ethical and also social and political questions. I think that normally when we carry out research, our aims and our motivations are fairly clear to us. We have questions, we have hypotheses, we explore those questions, and we test those hypotheses. What we've been tasked with doing in this center is something slightly different, helping the researchers to reflect upon the ethical considerations that arise from their work, and to do that from a perspective that starts at the very beginning of the research process, not at the end of the research process when we have a finished product. So responsible research and innovation is really a very daunting task, but it's a task that we've tried to incorporate, we've tried to embed into the heart of this center. And across the UK, it's something that's being incorporated into the heart and into the core of synthetic biology research. One of the most important dimensions of responsible research and innovation is public engagement. And one of the most important parts of public engagement is to overcome the deficit model of communicating with a lay audience or with a public that is not composed of experts. Very often, experts can see the various publics out there almost as empty vessels that need to be filled with a certain type of specialist knowledge so they can understand the intricacies and the specifics of what are often quite complicated and quite difficult debates. A correlate of this deficit model of thinking about public engagement would be something like a PR approach to scientific communication, where the task is to get various publics and various civil society actors, in a sense, on the side of and then out of the way of innovation. I think that the deficit model of public engagement can be really difficult for academics to overcome because in many senses that's the way we think about our own knowledge. When we see a lack in our own knowledge, we look for a way to fill it up. But debating the ethics and the politics of technology is much more complicated than this. And the non-specialists or the non-experts that we are addressing, that we are communicating with, often have knowledge and often have an understanding of the way that technologies will function in society that the researchers themselves do not have. In a strong sense, responsible research and innovation and public engagement are about the democratic legitimation of science. And that is a massive challenge.